Okay, thank you. Thank you, Johnny. And thank you everyone for coming, and people can please ask questions as I go along. I'm fine with questions. This is what I do. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm Barbara Faga. I'm a long-time practitioner, and my experience is all about projects, and I like big, complicated projects. And those of you who have been in my class have heard some of this before about Wharf District Park in Boston, which is part of the Rose Kennedy Greenway, was a very complicated project. And I'll take you through a little bit of this, but the most complicated part of a project is explaining it to the community. And I have a lot of experience doing public meetings, community meetings. I like doing community meetings. I find they're interesting. You get to hear what people are thinking. And as a planner, your job is to educate people and tell them what it is help them understand what it is they're looking at. And I find that doing this graphically is sometimes very complicated. So I'm going to take you through our experience doing this, and then have you, Jasmine and Johnny and others will have you look at another location that you can do this. So here we are in Boston. This is the financial center and the Boston Commons, and City Hall is up here. You can see my screen, right? I hope. Yes. You're not like my students who say, after I'm 10 minutes into, say, well, we don't see the screen.
Yep, you're all set.
Thank you. Love feedback. All right, so the project was about taking one of these highways that was built in the 50s, and you're reading about these highways now, how they separated different locations, how they took out populations. This particular highway took out a large chunk of Chinatown, a large chunk of the downtown, and a large chunk of the North End, which was the Italian village area. And when it went through, it was said to be, you know, this wonderful new highway. What happened in Boston, and this is a long story, which I won't tell you, but Boston got a lot of money, a lot of federal money, to bury this highway and put it in a tunnel underground. And it went from this to this in under 10 years, which is a huge improvement, wouldn't you think? And when you're looking at this and you think, wow, this is easy, this must have been easy to get approved. It was very difficult to have the community approve this. And the problem is that they could not visualize that this could be a park one day. And it was hard to show them how this might work because they'd been involved in this construction for so long. So let me take you through this quickly. You can see what this did to the area that used to be the expressway. These are IMPay major designer towers that are housing. There's a new development here at the time where a developer looked ahead and said, this is one day going to be a park, and I'm going to do a great job on this development. And then there's a parking garage here, and I'll show you a few other landmarks. So this is what it looks like when we arrived on the scene in early this century. We won a design competition to do this project. There's a viaduct here, there's 2 levels. For the people that lived in those high rises to get to the downtown, they had to walk under this viaduct. And this is what it looks like on a good day. So you can imagine what it's like to live there. You can see these buildings that were taken down halfway through the building because this building extended. And then they put in those small windows. And at the time looking at this, I had just come off working on Centennial Olympic Park in Atlanta. And I said, these will one day be $1 million condominium. And they looked at me and said, you're crazy, go back to Atlanta, lady. So this is what it looks like. This is what people are seeing out of their windows and as they walk through. And this is the design competition that we entered to win this project. And every major firm in the country was going after these. There were 3 different pieces of this park. So everybody was competing, and we were all competing against each other. And there were displays. We turned in the competition. The firm I was with at the time was EDAW. We merged with AECOM right around the time we were working on this project. So our team at EDAW was from our Alexandria, Virginia office and our Atlanta office. And this was what won. So we were thrilled. We got the call right around Christmas time and we thought, wow, this is the best project ever. We were associated with a local firm there. So that was important for us to have a local firm who knew Boston, because we did not have a Boston office, which was part of our problem. So if you look at this, this is how we did it. These are old wharves. This is an old area where immigration for a long time this was one of the central ports between Boston and Baltimore until Ellis Island was built. So all of these different wharfs happened. We did a public design charrette workshop. We had a lot of different public meetings over the project. We were contracted to have 5 public meetings with the Turnpike Authority. We ended up having almost 200 meetings to get this approved. So you can imagine what this was like for planners. So here's different pictures from different meetings that we were having. We did a lot of planning, we did a lot of sketching, and I want to take you through these pretty quickly because it's a lot of different design plans that were going on. So we did one of our first public meetings that we held in the aquarium right across the street from this site. So we showed them these different plans and we thought we were doing great, except that we got involved in a little bit of a political competition. So together with the political competition between the state and the city and the Turnpike Authority, and the fact that the neighbors, the community, did not understand how this park would work once it went in, and they said, we never have a park. They could not perceive, here's these high rises, that they could walk across the street on a street that was ground level. So we had to keep showing them how to do this. So between the political battle and the community battle, and the community was lovely. They were lovely in the meetings, but they would just say, we don't understand. We don't see this. We can't envision this. So we started to show them, here's the aquarium where we'd have the meetings. These are the wharfs. This is where that roadway was existing. They started to take it down as we were working on this. And we started to show them, you will walk this way. And they would say, no, we never walked that way. We've never walked that way. We can't walk across there. We walk this way and go under that viaduct. And the visualization part was really difficult for us. Now we're at the beginning of all of these computer programs, and Professor Allen and I talk about this a lot, of what it was like to work in this sort of a time when you had to graphics were not that easy to do unless that you were doing hand graphics. So we have all kinds of graphics that are hand-drawn graphics in here, and then went to some computer graphics as we proceeded along, and I'll show you how that works. So we're mainly working in this medium with drawings and sketches and showing people. But as Professor Nellison said a few minutes ago when we were listening to the first portion of the day, that people don't read plans. People do not read plans. They don't see plans. Your generation reads plans. But what I pretty much say people over 50 maybe do not read plans as well as you do. They don't see it. And for many times I would sit through park planning seminars, and people would look at the plan that I'd drawn where I had cars and trees, and they look at the tree and say, is that a car? I mean, they just didn't get it. So let me take you through these quickly. So we're showing them different ways this park might emerge. And they would look at it and say, yeah, that's very nice. We don't see it. We don't see how that's happening. And we would show them. I have thousands of these slides of how this would look. That we spent so much time working on this because we had offices across the country, and we would send it to Atlanta, or we'd send it to Denver, or we'd send it to San Francisco and say, here, can you work on this overnight? Because we have to do another public meeting in the morning. So as I'm taking you through these, there was a big public park up here that was built. but we had a lot of different designs. And then we started to figure out that maybe it wasn't the design that was the problem, it was the imagery of what was the problem. So here's a few more. You're kind of getting the picture here of how much you end up doing when you're showing pictures. Still didn't get it. We started to work on place and how place might work, and showed them different graphics that those of you who are designers know how this works with edges and transitions and pivot. This completely confused them. They didn't understand at all. The community did not get this. I can see Paul is grinning here because he knows how this works. So then we got into doing some AutoCAD work. This was very early work. And buildings were just built to be white back then. You couldn't put all of the fenestration on the building that you can now. So we would show them this and they're like, why are all the buildings white? We don't get this. We don't get what these buildings are. We don't understand this. So as we work through this, you can kind of see, those of you who read this know where the park is. Here's the edge of Boston. We tried to show them how it would work with the park and with the buildings. Here's the aquarium over here. And this is Faneuil Hall that Tony just spoke about in the last presentation. And so this is Faneuil Hall. This is the Custom House. This is a very historic part of the city with a park outside it. Should be really expensive real estate around there. When it's done, we went to watercolors. Well, the watercolors, which were very expensive at the time, these watercolors each were $5,000 to get somebody to do at that particular time. And they're beautiful, but they said those look like postcards. We don't understand that. Here's the Custom House and Faneuil Hall is underneath this. So this is what it was going to look like. We went into, was another, I don't remember exactly, this program might have been early Revit. And they didn't like this at all because these were big white buildings. They perceive this as you're building big white buildings. We don't like that. So we started to show them some other sketches, some sections. People didn't understand that exactly. They didn't understand how how all of these traffic islands would work and how the roadways would work here. So here, I'll take you through a few more of these. We got into Neoscape, which was a real early, like Revit or Lumion or someone who really knew how to do imagery, and they were good. We could not do these ourselves. With these, we had to hire this consulting firm that I think was right in New Haven, or it was a combination of MIT people and Harvard people who put these together. So they're showing, we're starting to see real people in models, and this worked. That started to work. Then we got to more realistic looking. So we're doing this at the same time that the software is being put together and developed. So as we're doing this, I'm sure we had software developers looking at how these things were going and what they needed to develop. Here's the building that I showed you that was cut off when it originally went through, and the Custom House is over in this location. And more drawings. And more drawings. So when we got to these little drawings with the little sketches and the cute little people, people started to get it. I'm not particularly sure if we wore them down or if they just started to figure out what it was that we were doing. But the public meetings were every other Wednesday night. They were at 6 o'clock in the aquarium building, and in the parking garage had a big building, and people enjoyed coming to that. They would come to that like it was an event, meet up with their friends, go out for dinner afterwards. It was a social event, which community meetings are supposed to be, with coffee and cookies and everything else. But when we got to these nice little sketches that were very quick to do, people liked that a lot. They seemed to relate to that, and they could begin to see what it was looking like. So we moved into doing more of these. We had all of these little sketches. And I'll show you where we went next with this. So we're getting more to design things. Once we started showing them comparables, pictures of flowers, people loved it. Then they immediately got into it. Whoa, there's going to be flowers there. It's going to be beautiful. And that was the thing that really sold the project in the end, was it was going to be beautiful. There were going to be beautiful plant material. They could talk about the plant material that they liked and tell you what was going to happen there. And they really enjoyed all of that. So the more plant material we had, the better the presentation went. So we would show them, this really worked the best. We would show them a sketch and show them what it looked like with a comparable. And I do this in my studios that I teach at Bloustein, is you always have to show people where it's been built before. Politicians do not like to do things that have never been done before. They want to see what's been done before, who's been successful at it, and then they will adopt that. So again, we're showing them lovely lavender areas, and we're showing them what it looks like in reality, and then they liked it. We're showing them a walkway, we're showing them the Ramblas in Barcelona. So this was something they could relate to because it could happen outside of their door. We show them a fountain and what the fountain will look like. This worked great for us. And went on with flowers and trees and people outside. This is the comparable. This works great. So Neoscape, meanwhile, the IT consultant was really getting much better with their software. So they could actually put the skin on the buildings and show you what it looked like with people. And these were very expensive to do, and they took a while to put them together. It wasn't like you just order these up and do them in a day or what you can do now. This took days to put together, and they were expensive, and but they were effective. People could start to begin to see this. So we had our client had bought a lot of these sketches. So this worked out really nicely. This was good, but you had to sort of build to get to this. And I'm not sure, had we gone right from the meetings into the comparable with the sketches, that might have worked a lot faster. I learned a lot on this project, and I had done many public meetings before this, but it was interesting to learn how people actually see designs. And I would stand outside after the meetings and say, how was this? And people would say to me, well, this was good. I liked this presentation, or I didn't like this presentation. It was like if you had those clickers that you use now, you could say, what do you really think? We would have gotten feedback a lot easier. So here's the fountain. People were difficult. Here's the building again that was cut off with the windows looking out. There's the custom house again. So we showed them lots of these different views, what it would look like from this big new building, how this all worked. Here was the end result was we got a model. This model was like $45,000. It was beautiful. It was big enough, I thought, to walk through. We watched them make it. It didn't light up or anything, which I was sort of surprised because it was so expensive. But once people saw the model, they loved the model. These were taken in the model shop when they were working on it. So you can kind of, there's the custom house again. And here we are looking at the model. When we brought the model out, you could see people engage in it. Now they're starting to see how this will look because they're looking outside their window and it's just a big construction zone out there. But now they're starting to see, here's the IMP towers and the custom house, and Faneuil Hall is right here, and all of the other buildings, but you can start to see what the design is. You can kind of see I'm in the background looking very doubtful about whether this is working or not, but it worked really well. They loved it a lot. And some of the architects who were involved in the project are suddenly engaging in it. Now they can kind of see what it's going to look like. I ended up with a lot of notes and put a book together out of this about designing public consensus. This project is still, we got into details. Once we got into details, people liked it. Here's some more of the Neoscape drawings. This is ended up being $1 to $2 million condos that are built in this building. They put in lovely balconies. It's high-end area to live in now because you have this gorgeous view. And here's some more, so you can see Neoscape down here. And this is one of the images we ended with. The water fountain is lovely there. The play fountain, people loved it. The community originally said, no, we don't like fountains in Boston, but they seem to like this fountain. They also told us not to leave lawn out there. Nobody uses lawn in Boston, but they use the lawn. It's, there's the balconies and the $1 or $2 million, I'm noticing now, condos. And the interesting part of this is I was just recently reading in the, in fact, I should have put the link in this, in the Boston Globe, where one of the editorial writers was writing about, she used to, this is what she said, carp about this project, that it was worthless, but now she loves the project. So this is what, 15 years later from when we started on the project. And it's very, very well received. People love it a lot. People lay on the lawn, people use the lawn. I love this picture. We put the lawn in saying, if the lawn didn't work, you can pave it over later, but just try the lawn. People love the lawn and people love the park. And that is, perfect timing. Okay. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer those. I'll turn this back over to Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Dr. Faga. Does anyone have questions before we start sketching? Or you can ask questions as we're sketching, but don't be shy. Let me share. We're going to use the Miro board. I can send the link again if people don't have it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to sketch an area in College Ave. We're going to give everyone about 20 minutes to sketch as much as possible within this image. And remember to think about what Dr. Faga talked about in her presentation with trying to create a sense of place. Or imagine you're going to show this sketch that you make to your friend. How are they going to know where they are, what they're looking at? Think of landmark buildings or plazas that really catch your eye, or people will identify with this area on College Avenue at Rutgers. If you want to draw in Miro, you can, or if you just want to look at this image and draw it on a sketch pad, that's what we were thinking. Or if you wanted to take this image, put it in a tablet and draw it there. But I'm going to start the timer for 20 minutes. Let me know when you guys are ready. And then when you're done, let's upload the images to here like we did for session 1, and we can talk about it after the 20 minutes are up. Does anyone have any questions? Does this sound good? You can zoom in a bit more so it's a bit more clear.
This is a good location because this has been talked about, hasn't it? For years, I understand, of closing College Ave to traffic and having it be a pedestrian mall. And
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk, especially now with the bus lane that doesn't work because it's too narrow. Did someone take the image? Let me just copy and paste it. You can take that one, Paul. I can copy and paste this a bit if people want to sketch over it that way, or if they want to call out specific buildings or pieces that you think people would identify with this area. Here's an extra one if someone wants to use this.
So are we also thinking about reworking the buildings, or are we just focusing on the streetscape?
No, you sketch as much of what is in this image as much as you can. And if you want to add anything to it, what you think would make this area better, definitely add that and make notes of it on your sketch.
Okay.
So this can be draw what it is, but also if you want to improve the area, if you have time within the 20 minutes, definitely feel free to do that as well.
actually, this is part of the focus of, I'm thinking now of fall studio I'm doing at Bloustein, which is reimagining New Brunswick for the Bloustein 30th anniversary. They asked us to reimagine New Brunswick. And this will be a portion of it, this and George Street.
I'm gonna start the timer now, guys. If you have any questions, just let us know. I'm gonna pause the recording as we're drawing, and we'll be back in 20 minutes to share our sketches with each other. Is anyone having trouble uploading their sketches? Johnny, is this yours?
Yeah, that's me.
Cool.
I figured out if you're pasting an image in, the technique is like zoom in somewhere on the screen and then drop it in so that you're close to like the tiny little thing that it drops in. Otherwise you won't find it.
Yeah, it comes in really small, so try and zoom in a bit more, and then you'll be able to get it. Now, Johnny, what was your approach? We'll start with you as other people are getting their sketches in here.
My approach was to first just outline the buildings and then just take note of like the amount of roof space on buildings that, for the most part, in my opinion, are kind of low. I don't know what it is with Rutgers, but they love building things half underground. And so, you know, just for me, like the amount of roof space on Brower next to Clothier could be better utilized, I think, as like an outdoor dining section. That would have been interesting and cool. So I did that first. I outlined the buildings, took note of the roof space. And then I looked at the streets. I also added a little shadowing and then just took note of the amount of landscape elements. So the trees and the grass fields, I think that there's an adequate amount, and I think it really adorns the street well. And then I added a tiny drop of details. So that was my approach. And yeah, if in reality, I think that this space of College Avenue is nice, like has the bones of a nice space, but the architecture, with the exception for the gym, in my opinion, humbly, is borderline appalling. So, you know, I think there's a lot of just simple things that we can do as planners, kind of like quick and dirty fixes to make this a way better space. And a lot of those have happened over the years that I've been here, but, you know, so this was a fun exercise for me. But yeah, that was my approach.
Dr. Faga, do you think people would know, the public would know where they are in that sketch that Johnny did? Or is she still with us? Or she's on?
Oh, you're on mute, Dr. Faga.
Great sketch. Love the landscape in it, and would be a great opportunity for green roofs.
Nice. Nah, I think this is your sketch. Do you want to walk us through your thought process with what you did first and what you chose to keep and things like that?
It's very quick and dirty. But so I guess what I was thinking about was, I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the master plan that they did. But I actually really like the plan that they did for this area of campus. I love the idea of extending the campus down to the river, which I think is completely unutilized and blocked off in most senses. So I think if we can point the campus in that direction, I think that's really good. So the first thing I did was, in order, if you want to do that and you want to make the focal point of the area, the gym, you have to get rid of part of Brower at least. But I thought it would be cool if we kept at least like part of Brower, if we did like a nod to Brower. I don't know I'm assuming the architecture of Brower is probably not the best. So I don't know how feasible that would be, but I thought it would be kind of cool if you like basically cut Brower in half. So you can see on the left, you keep that kind of colonnade that they have in the front, and you keep the dorm part of Brower. And then since Brower is like almost entirely underground, you could dig down underground and you could expose the basement under workings of Brower and basically make that into kind of like a stepped terrace that goes down there, and put a glass facade on the basement. And then you could have a series of green roofs. So one in the current courtyard of Brower. Maybe I should point this out. I don't know. Can you guys see my cursor?
Yeah.
So like one that is, this is where the current courtyard of Brower is. And then when you would go down steps and then down into the basement depths that goes 2 or 3 stories down. And then also on the roofs of the existing buildings. I completely did away with the campus center. And I thought it would be really cool if there was a building that integrated more with the landscape, especially if you got rid of that horrible, horrible parking lot that's in the back and you made the whole thing one large utilized space. I thought it would be kind of cool to do a building that kind of works together with the field, because that's the original football field where the first college football game was played. But you wouldn't know that because it's a parking lot. So if you brought the field back and you made it a public space again, you could do kind of like a nod to that. So I guess pretty much the biggest thing that I kept is the gym, because obviously everybody likes the gym. So
Sorry, Nat. I tried to copy in the master plan that you just mentioned, but I accidentally moved your sketch.
And then
I'm gonna add the link again here. So if anyone hasn't seen it, I actually haven't seen it yet. And now I'm looking at it and it's pretty amazing. I didn't realize how much like actual thought they put into this.
And then I also I put in a dedicated bus lane and pretty much got rid of the street, and you make it into kind of a pedestrian network. And the bus lane could then be at some point turned into like a light rail network, which I think is where they should ultimately go with the bus system, because the bus system is just not great. Just nobody really likes the bus system, and it at least needs to become more efficient. So
Yeah, I love it. What do you think, Dr. Faga?
Looks great. Could do that. And the connection to the rivers, as who put this in here, Johnny? About
Oh,
Yeah.
our alma mater on the banks of the old Raritan and how we're actually connected from the banks. Yeah, that's me.
I didn't know about the football stadium either, that that's the original location, because they
Yep.
make a big deal out of that. And we talk about the river all the time, but we sort of turn our back on the river, definitely turn our back on the river.
Very cool.
thank you.
This looks great.
Always good sketches from
Gotta
that.
give her a nap sketch.
This one. Whose is this? You want to talk about your thought process here, or what you were thinking?
Yeah, that was fine. All I tried to do here was try to better connect the public space on both sides. This traffic circle that would also be green public space, and then I further added tried to work with the existing buildings by adding additions to each one that would reorient frontage, so that they're all actually facing the public spaces, because I think right now most of these the apartments have their back to it, and then that building where that driveway is, it has its entrance buried within that. So I just kind of tried to bring it all closer together.
Right. Nice.
Looks good.
I like it.
Traffic circle While I don't usually like traffic circles, that looks like a good location for one.
Let me see. I think we can see yours, Arden. Is this yours that you sketched over?
Yes. Unfortunately, I'm really bad at trying to draw on the computer itself, so I didn't really accomplish much.
No, it's okay. We're all learning. This is a new program, and trying to sketch digitally isn't always easy. But you did, it looks nice. It doesn't look bad.
Put in a roundabout. What's that?
That's a famous Paul Drake quote.
Ah, that's interesting.
I bring that up anytime I can. I love it.
What did you say it again? I didn't hear it.
He's famously once said, "When in doubt, put a roundabout." Which I
No,
love.
I know, the one I know is if you can't do it right, paint it white.
Did anyone else put a sketch in here? Paul, did you do one in here, or whose is this? Who did this one?
That's not me, no. I'm still figuring out the program. Embarrassing.
I did this one.
Oh, nice. So what were you thinking as you did it? Liam, right? Was that Liam?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So at first I was just trying to like draw as much of it as I could. But then, so I looked at just like the amount of just blank space on the roofs, and I was like, okay, there's probably definitely opportunities for green roofs here. And then I also decided to just remove cars completely from that street, because I looked at a map and I realized that College Ave isn't like one of those streets that like goes completely like through New Brunswick. It gets blocked by the railway, and so it's not necessarily like a vital arterial for cars to be driving on. So I thought, why not, if the bus lane is already too small, why not just make the entire thing for buses, and then expand the bike lanes to both sides. And then so I just picked the colors there to like represent the red is the busway and then the green is the bike lane. But I think ideally I would want it to be like a similar color to the pavement so that it's more obvious that people can walk across, not necessarily have to cross at a specific crosswalk. But I wasn't really able to illustrate that, but.
No, it looks great. That's a good idea. That definitely
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's really good idea.
This is College Ave, in my opinion, is an example of a complete street that has failed because no one uses the bike lane. The buses don't use the bus lane, and the cars make the best attempt to not hit people and bikes and buses. So this is a great sketch.
Yeah, basically what they did is they took the existing parallel parking lanes and then made the bus lane the same width as that 7-foot parallel parking lane, and then same thing for the bike lane. So the buses don't even fit unless they want to drive with the wheel against the curb. And then people don't bike as much because it doesn't really connect to like the broader street network within New Brunswick, or doesn't connect to other campuses. And if you do want to try to get to another campus, the like route is hidden and you have to try and ask around to try to figure out how to get to other campuses by biking.
People are crossing at all different locations. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, whose idea were those? Like, who planned that street?
Not Bloustein. I don't know. Not us. They didn't ask us anything.
It probably should have.
Did anyone else get some sketches in? I basically just traced it. I didn't do any design work, which now I'm wishing I did. I might have to come back and do that now. Or I just drew what was there. I like that. I hope Nat's plan actually happens. Sorry, Dr. Faga.
These are really interesting. It's nice to see different ideas. You miss doing that.
Yeah, this has been a lot more fun than I thought it would be.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks so much.
Not that like not like I'm just saying it's hard to like stay indoors on a Saturday, when it's so pretty out and it's like I'm having a good time. So you've made me enjoy the interior of my house more. Be proud.
Oh, thank you, I guess then. Did anyone else put a sketch in here that we didn't get to look over yet? I see Jeremy in here and I see Z. I don't know if you guys are able to upload your image or if you can't find it.
Hey everyone, sorry, I missed half of the, or 3/4 of the session. I just joined in 10 minutes ago, so I'll be
No
just,
problem.
what are you doing?
Yeah, we're glad to see you or hear you. I
Hey
can't see
Z,
you.
how are you, Z?
Hi, good, how you doing?
Well, I hope if anyone didn't get to do a sketch, you can always add it later because you're going to be in this board forever now.
Jeremy?
Can you hear me? Not sure if you can hear me.
No,
Yeah.
Jeremy, how are you?
Hey there. Yeah. I this is my first time using Miro, so I literally don't know where the drawing went.
If you try and zoom in, so zoom in like this, like as close as you can, and then hit the upload from your device, and it should come up in front of you tiny, because basically right now this is zoomed out to like 1%, you see, but it will zoom in.
Let
It
me try
will upload tiny. Yeah, try one more time so we can look
Okay.
at what you were able to do.
Okay.
I think you can also drag and drop. This is my second time using Miro, so
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
not
there
an
it is. I
expert,
see
but
you.
I can't find my way.
There you are.
There.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can zoom in on it. This thing like zooms in forever. Oh, nice. Use trace
Yeah.
paper?
Yeah. I was just quick because I didn't know what to do with. I didn't even know the link was there until after we stopped our 20 minutes.
Sorry.
But my idea with that, well, I'm forgetting who's the guy who said, I never met him. He's the guy who said he wants to do a nod to Brower. I like his idea of cutting Brower in half. I kind of did that, and I kept the colonnades. I personally, I'm still not thrilled with what I drew, but at the same time, I'm okay with the colonnades in that courtyard and the Clothier Hall courtyard and the building. Yeah, that area there. But I wish that if you move your mouse down and right, Jasmine, like
Yeah.
there's another courtyard there that opens up to the front of the gym. So I wanted to see that at least. And then there's another building just under your mouse there if you go down. So there would be like a series of 3 buildings and 2 courtyards, both nodding to the gym and that new proposed, well, that other building that I kind of really messily drew. The idea on that building to the left of the gym, I take inspiration from the Shabbat actually on the other corner, and I wanted to match the. Yeah, it's not drawn in there.
Yeah, the one that's all the way over here. I'm just showing the direction it was in.
If you know that building, I really enjoy looking at that building from across the street from the library, and I feel like that is so acceptable, and it should, I think, be matched. Now, I'm not going to say that the exactly what I drew should be there, but like I would think that like a building with that architecture or similar should be like, yeah, of similar nature should be drawn, should be built there on the left side of the gym. I just think that like that could be like another public space on the gym side between that building that you're pointing at and the Shabbat. And I wish that was more built out instead of just being that that has chains around it and people have to walk towards the sidewalks. I wish that was more of a pedestrian space and just grass there. Yeah, sorry for the hodgepodge of a description there, but yeah, I would like to see a building that looks like the Shabbat on the other side of the gym.
Yeah, no, this is great. Thanks for walking us through your design process, and you explained it well. And I think that kind of happens to us designers where we bounce back and forth off of our ideas because everything is interconnected and we have so many ideas at once. It's hard to stay on track with like a speaking pattern to follow that. But this is all great. Let me zoom out. Did I miss anyone? Mine's nothing special, so I'm not going to show it. I'm going to redo it. But I think this might be the end of the session for today, unless someone else has anything to mention. Or want to
I'd like to offer something here. You're
Yeah.
all so good at this and knowing so much about the campus. It'd be nice if you had an online some presentation for new students, especially students who haven't been on the campus in a year and a half. When they come back, where you talk about your impressions of campus and you've been there and you know what you're looking at, and it'd be nice to have a design guide by students.
It's pretty cool. That might have to be a studio.
Doesn't have to be a studio. But you could
Fun.
do that. You could just put together your own website and put it on there. I
Yeah,
think students
definitely.
would really enjoy that. I have so many in my classes, and you probably do too, who've never been on campus.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
this
thank you.
was-
This has been great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing what you do and learning new software, and this is all very interesting. Good luck.
I'm glad everyone was able to join us. We have another session happening from 2 to 3, which we'll be using SketchUp and then drawing over our 3D model if everyone can attend. If you don't have the link, you can stay on and I'll send it to you. But thank you everyone for coming. And if you want to join our club, send us an email, draw.ejbdesigns@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to have you as one of our members.
Did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you next session.
Right.